When the second round of pit stops cycled out, Joel Rodriguez in the 56 once again gained a big lead over Kevin Monroe and Dale Underwood. Jared Anderson comes out fourth with Harry Nola rounding out the top five. But once again, Rodriguez seemed to struggle to find his footing, allowing Monroe to catch him and blow right by him like he was the star of a bad racing movie. However, Rodriguez would quickly get back up to speed and keep pace with the leaders. The number 5 of Olivier Martinez is a lap down. Coming through Goliath, Dale Underwood gets on the inside of Monroe and is able to clear him, coming into the S's with Joel Rodriguez following him, but Monroe is not prepared to give up another position so easily. However, Rodriguez is simply too strong for him right now. Here is Alex Carson running in the 11th position with Jason Bates behind him. He gets together with Olivier Martinez coming off of turn 7, and they take each other into the wall, sending the 28 for a few barrel rolls. Cars 5 and 28 would go out of the race. Kevin Monroe decides that he feels better being in first rather than second and sweeps back around the 03. You'll notice that the top two have really broken away from Joel Rodriguez, but Dale Underwood wouldn't give up, and a little while later he takes the lead back from Kevin Monroe. This allows Joel Rodriguez to reel them in a little bit. Here is Ricky Flush taking 5th place away from Harry Nola and beginning another charge back to the front. Pit stops have set him back a little bit, but he's still got a very fast car. The 31 team's probably hoping that it stays that way and doesn't blow up like in several other races this season. Jared Anderson in the 10 is going in the opposite direction as Ricky Flush. He came out of the pits in 4th, and here he is running in 9th. He is currently stuck in a Riggs Motorsports sandwich with Ricky Navarro in front of him and Leslie Riggs behind him. Sean Donnelly in the 08 is another Riggs car, but he is a lap down. The battle for the lead is still very fierce. This time Joel Rodriguez has caught the leaders. He gets by Kevin Monroe and now tries to make a run on Dale Underwood coming into the S's, and Monroe makes it 3 wide for the lead. This is a very rare sight at these road races, but Monroe proves that it can work, and he takes the lead for himself. But Rodriguez battles back, and he eventually gets by the 63. There is the 86 of Noelia Castillo going a lap down. The next car to go a lap down would be your pole sitter, Leigh Gurrell, in the 46. He's not being the most gracious back marker, making everyone go around him on the outside. But Michael Carter in the 109 would be even less gracious. He holds up Joel Rodriguez, and then when Monroe tries to get around the 56, he sweeps up in front of the 63 instead. This allows Dale Underwood to blow by him for second, and you see that Monroe loses a lot of ground. But Monroe would be able to get it all back as the leaders have their hands full with the 77 of Jeremy West. Dale Underwood tries to take advantage and sweep around the 56 on the outside, but Rodriguez has the preferred line. Rodriguez is eventually able to clear West and continue leading the race. But here comes Kevin Monroe to spoil his fun. Monroe continues to show that he is one of the strongest cars in the field so far. In fact, the MJ team as a whole has been pretty strong this year when they haven't been crashing or blowing up. They have 3 wins, 2 with Bobby Porteau and 1 with Brenda Riggs. Surprise, surprise, more problems coming off of turn 7. Leigh Gurrell sweeps up into Jared Anderson and takes both cars into the wall. Gurrell, after winning the pole, had a great start and then got into an incident after the first round of pit stops, and it all went downhill from there. Speaking of pit stops, Kevin Monroe and Dale Underwood kick off the 3rd cycle. This is when the relief drivers will step into the cars. Lawrence Burr will be stepping in for Kevin Monroe, and Dale Underwood will be replaced by Mitchell Hill. Here comes Joel Rodriguez 1 lap later. He is going to be replaced by Jesse Thompson. And then when everything cycles out, Thompson has a big lead, just like Rodriguez did in the first 2 cycles. And then about 8 seconds back, we have Lawrence Burr and Mitchell Hill, 2nd and 3rd. Brian Sendak running 4th in the 159, and then TJ Stewart 5th, Laura Cyrus, Alex Graff 6th and 7th, and Ryan Noraki in 8th. And then in a very distant 9th place, there is Kyle Gaffigan in the 37. Lawrence Burr picks up right where Kevin Monroe left off and tries to take the lead from Jesse Thompson. It appears that the issue with the 56 not getting up to speed was not a driver problem after all, and Burr has absolutely no problem sweeping by Thompson for the lead. Here come the leaders to lap Rachel Rainsford stepping in for her sister Alexis in the number 27 Volpe, but Rainsford's giving them a bit of a hard time, and that allows them to stay bunched up. You see that Jesse Thompson in the 56 has once again start to come in. While they were stuck behind the 27, Mitchell Hill gets around Lawrence Burr for the lead. Hill was actually in a full-time ride with Ultra Fury Racing, who fields this 03 car until 2008, when Hill failed to qualify for several races and then was put in their Thunder Trucks program, and he is doing quite well in that series. And you see Lawrence Burr getting around Hill to take the lead once again. Cody Lawson in for Sean Donnelly is about to learn a very important lesson for this series. Do not come down in front of faster cars. He gets together with the lead lap car, Phineas Marshall, replacing Jason Bates, and spins up into the wall. Car number 77 is going to get in the way of the leaders once again, this time with Wes Jones behind the wheel. Jones was running the number 246 in the qualifying race, but he got into an accident, and then that team decided to have him relieve Jeremy West, since their original relief driver got into a car accident earlier in the week, and his injuries kept him from participating in this race. Mitchell Hill takes advantage of this and takes the lead. The relief drivers are supposed to take care of the cars while the primary drivers rest, but apparently TJ Stewart in the 67 didn't get that message. He gets together with Laura Cyrus, taking both cars into the wall, coming off of turn 7. Stewart would go out. Laura Cyrus was able to continue, but her car was off the pace. Here's the novel concept: Lawrence Burr taking the lead. The number 63 car is still very strong as we approach the halfway point. Coming into Goliath, Megan Gallagher in the 22 is going to get together with the 070 of John Smith, taking both cars hard into the wall and sending them for a wild ride, especially Gallagher, who goes for several barrel rolls. Here it is again. It looks like Gallagher just drives right into the 070, expecting him to turn to the left a little bit more. That was a very, very hard hit for both cars. We have no word on the medical conditions of both John Smith and Megan Gallagher. Mitchell Hill tries to get around Lawrence Burr once again, but he gets held up by the 24 of Justin Parker, replacing Aaron Cruz. Hill almost gets into Jesse Thompson, trying to protect second place. And now let's take a look at the running order at halfway. Ryan Noraki is starting to make his way forward. He is in 4th right now after coming out of the pits 8th. Brian Sendek and Alex Graff hang on to their spots in the top 10. Thurston Blood in the 555 for Rip Tyler is up to 7th. Kyle Gaffigan moves up 1 position into 8th. Phineas Marshall runs 9th. Rush McLeod in for Packer Carroll rounds out the top 10. And then we have the Kurt Walker Motorsports teammates of Cody Richards and Kiriki Hatsuno running 11th and 12th. Liam D'Souza in for Gary D'Souza is up to 13th in the one-off number 403 entry. Good run for that team so far. Laura Cyrus has fallen to 14th in the damaged number 50 car. Jeff Lautenschlager in the 70 is running 15th. Patrick James Jr. in the number 100 is 16th. Wes Jones is the first car 1 lap down, followed by Rachel Rainsford and Cody Lawson. They are both a lap down as well. Megan Gallagher is the first car out of the race. Justin Parker and Jamie Sons are 3 laps down. Jamie Flock in the 109 is 4 laps down. TJ Stewart and all of the other cars after him are out of the race. And in addition to that, everyone behind John Smith crashed before the 3rd cycle of pit stops, which means that the primary drivers are scored in those cars. And now here's the last page of your running order. A lot of the guys on this page were pretty high up in the points coming into this race, including Todd Stater, points leader Andy Pearson, and Bobby Porteau coming off of his win last week. Amy Harrison is in 39th. She's shown quite a bit of promise this season, but not tonight. And then Jeb Klinger scored as the first car out of the race in last place. And now getting back to the action, here comes Jesse Thompson taking the lead away from Lawrence Burr. Mitchell Hill tries to take advantage, but Burr shuts the door on him. Ryan Noraki in the 31 is really starting to reel in this group. Ricky Flush has been able to make some pretty big charges to the front in this car, and now Noraki is doing the same. Here is Jamie Flock in the 109 getting in the way of the leaders once again, except for Lawrence Burr, who the 109 lets by without a problem. And then he eventually lets by Mitchell Hill, but he still holds up Jesse Thompson and Ryan Noraki. Speaking of Noraki, he kicks off the 4th round of pit stops, coming in all by himself. Lawrence Burr and Mitchell Hill follow suit 1 lap later. I believe that little speck behind them is Brian Sendek. Once again, Jesse Thompson is the last car to pit, and once again, he has a big lead coming out, and once again, everyone else catches him very quickly. You also see behind the top 3 that Brian Sendak is now with the lead group. He took 4th from Ryan Naraki. Here's another look at Sendak in the 159, who has worked his way up to 2nd. Sendak races in the TM Master Cup Series, where he has had repeated run-ins with Packer Carroll and Alexis Rainsford. However, I think he can breathe easy here because he's not running with them. Ryan Naraki dropped back a little bit after pit stop cycled out. Here he is running several car lengths behind Alex Graf in the 34. However, that 31 team has already made up a couple of huge deficits tonight, so there's no reason why they shouldn't do it again. Brian Sendak has caught Lawrence Burr, and now he takes the lead from the 63. His road racing prowess is obviously coming in handy tonight. If you look a bit further back, you see that Sendak and Burr have opened up a nice gap on the rest of the leaders. But Lawrence Burr comes back the next lap, deciding that first place rightfully belongs to him. Sendak doesn't give up so easily, but Burr is able to clear him coming out of the S's. But the battle for the lead would heat up once again as Brian Sendak gets a run on Burr coming off of Goliath. Sendak has the lead coming into the S's, but Lawrence Burr will not go down without a fight. He dives to the left side of Sendak and makes the crossover move. And now they are side by side coming down into turn 6. Lawrence Burr will keep the lead. Here is Ryan Naraki running on older and slightly faster tires. He now has the leaders in his sight. Car 31 still looks very strong as the night goes on. Brian Sendak gets around Lawrence Burr for the lead once again. As you look behind them, Ricky Flush has now caught the leaders. He actually brings Alex Graf in the 34 with him, sending Jessica Thompson back to the 5th spot. Rush McLeod in the 71 for Packer Carroll has his car die on him coming off turn 14. Tough break for the 71 team. McLeod was running in the 10th spot. They've had quite a bit of bad luck in recent weeks. Here is Cody Richards in the 98. He gets together with Wes Jones coming off of turn 7, taking the 98 into the wall. It looked like Jones took that turn really wide, and that, in addition to his impeding, earned Wes Jones a trip to the hauler. Ryan Naraki has emerged as a new contender for the lead. He takes the top spot away from Brian Sendak coming off of turn 14. Alex Graf has taken the 3rd spot from Lawrence Burr. But Naraki hasn't quite cleared Sendak, and that is going to give the 159 the preferred line coming into the milling hairpin. There is the 70 of Jeff Lautenschlager about to go a lap down. Sendak is able to hold off Naraki, but here comes Graf in the 34. He wants a little piece of the action. He follows his teammate on the bottom, heading into Goliath, and then he peeks to the inside. Sendak is forced to let him have the spot. And now Graf has the preferred line heading into the S's. Lawrence Burr tries to make it 3 wide once again, but it doesn't quite work this time. Lawrence Burr does get another chance, though. He gets a run to the inside of Graf coming down the Minnesota stretch, and he will take the lead heading into Goliath. On the 5th round of pit stops, Ryan Naraki is once again the first car in. This strategy of being the first car to pit has really worked out for him so far. Brian Sendak and Lawrence Burr are the next cars to pit. Alex Graf and Jesse Thompson will pit on the next lap. And then Mitchell Hill is the last car to come into the pits. He tries to get a little more out of his tires.